G'day from the Marriott Boulevard Hotel in sunny Baku. You know, I'm often asked, what's it like being an F1 photographer? How does it all work? Well, in this video, I'm going to run through the whole lot. And if you're not a photographic nut, you'll still enjoy it, I guarantee it. So if you're ready, let's get cracking. Let me start with the equipment. Now, for this year, because I'm away from Australia for 10 months, I've had to take as much as possible, but as little as possible. So for a start, I need 2 camera bodies, and these are my weapons of choice. This is a Canon 1DX Mark III. Magnificent piece of equipment, very strong, shoots at 12 to 14 frames a second. You can get it wet. It's not totally waterproof, but it's water resistant. It's a real workhorse, and it provides unbelievably good pictures. So there are 2 of those, but then you need to put on the front a lens. So here's what I take: one 50mm lens, one 85mm lens, one 70 to 200mm lens, one 600mm lens, and with the 600mm lens you have to have a monopod. You cannot hold that 600mm lens in a camera for any length of time reliably. And the 16 to 35mm lens that's on the camera that we're using right now. What is my favourite lens? Picture-wise, on a sunny day with a polarizer, it's this 85mm lens, but I don't use it that often because technically I've got that length covered in this 70 to 200. This is the lens that I have on a camera pretty much at all times. It's the other camera that I'll swap lenses with, and typically that'll have, for morning driver arrivals, it'll have the lens that's on this camera right now, which is the 16 to 35, and once we get out on track, it'll have the big baby, the 600mm lens. And I also have a 1.4 times converter. So this will increase the range of a lens by 40%. So my 50mm lens becomes a 70, and my 600 becomes an 840. But you do lose a stop of light, and for those who don't know what that means, effectively you've got to shoot at a slightly slower shutter speed. I need to carry a battery charger for these cameras, and it's quite a big thing, charges 2 at the same time. I carry 4 of these hard drives. They're each 5 terabytes, so I'm carrying 20 terabytes of memory, plus in the computer I've got 4 terabytes. I have a Pro Photo flash with a remote. I rarely use the flash. I have another battery charger for the Canon EOS R that I'm using to video this particular production, and this is a Glow Call Me hotspot. And I'll go through what that does a little later on. And then of course you need a card reader, and I've got this Pro Grade 1 which has both of the cards that I use. And I should say too that these CF Express cards here are magnificently quick and very small and ridiculously expensive. That is about, I think, 400 to 500 euros for one of those, and I need 5 because I need 2 in each camera, and then I have 1 spare. And then there's this, the Novation Launchpad Mini. Now this created quite a stir when I mentioned it on a recent video, and I will run through exactly how I use that when we get a little bit deeper into this video. To carry around all that stuff, I have 1 Think Tank camera bag, and this Think Tank bag which I use to carry stuff around at the track. Oh, and on top of that, I carry some wet weather gear. Now that will entail a very loud jacket, wet weather pants, covers for my cameras, and these protect. That one in fact is the 600. This one here is for the 70 to 200. You need to carry the cameras around, and I use these black rapid straps, and I have a pair of them and sling them over my shoulder. As an accredited F1 photographer, we're given one of these badges. This is a permanent badge, so it means that in a normal year I could roll up at any race and just walk through the gates, but obviously COVID's a bit different. We have to apply race by race, and providing there's room in the media centre, permanent photographers are allowed access. There is no cost for one of these, but obviously you need to be accredited, and you would go to the FIA website, to the media accreditation page, and I'll put the link in below, and see if you adhere to the criteria, and that would change over time. I started back in 2017, and the criteria then was obviously different than it is now, and in 4 years' time it'll be different again, I'd say. So the media centre is set up, you get appointed a desk, we get internet, which is normally high speed, we get a tabard, and the tabard is to identify us out on track. We're also allocated a parking area, and we get a parking pass to stick on our car, and that's very important because we carry a lot of kit, and it's nice to be able to park reasonably close to the media centre. Where can we shoot around the track? Well, in normal times, the only places that are ruled out for a photographer like me who's got permanent accreditation would be pit wall, There's only a handful of photographers who get that. We would normally be allocated one session in the pit lane, but that's not happening this year, and we'd have access to the paddock, which once again is not happening this year. Typically on a race weekend, I'll shoot about 15,000 shots, because understand, when I press the shutter on this camera, it takes a minimum 2 or 3 shots every time because I've got it set to high speed. I could have it set to just take 1 shot per click, but chances are if you've got something happening, particularly on track, you want it to fire off. And sometimes I'll keep my finger pressed for say 2 seconds and I'll get 24 images. So this card here, I'll shoot JPEGs, and on the second card, I'll shoot RAWs. Now, a lot of you will know what a RAW image is, but for those who don't, it just contains a whole lot more data and it allows you to better process the image. And that's what I recently gave away to all of my members on YouTube. I also asked them to send me their versions of their edits. So let's have a quick look through what they've come up with, and I have to do this from the hotel room because it is way too bright out here. So come on, let's go upstairs. Allow me to go through with you some of the raw edits that people have sent me back. This was my original edit. This is the original file there. So there is a little bit of difference, but I haven't spent very much time at all on that. I put up 2 pictures, one of Lance Stroll and one of Nikita Mazepin. And here are the edits that I've received back. And as you can see up here in the top section, the person's name is there. Not a fan of that, but that's a bit of fun, obviously, that one. To me, that's a little bit dark, but as you can see here, that the colour of the lights has been changed, which you can easily do. And certainly along here, that reflection of which is actually the ocean has been reduced. This one here, yeah, we've now changed the reflection to a green, changed it to a purple here. Thank you, Daniel, for yours. Now, I fear maybe cropping in this tight, we're losing a bit of detail, but if we're not printing it terribly big, you can probably get away with that. This one has a more bluish tinge everywhere and a different crop. Punched in right tight here. Tom's had a fair crack at that. And look at that. Tom, well done. You put the ProStar Pix logo there. Nice. I just spotted that. I think you actually mentioned it. And here we are, a darker version of that from Rafin. Martin, gone to a little pinky colour here. And this one's a little bit brighter, darker. So as you can see, you can do a fair bit with a raw file, and there's a lot of information in these files. This one's very bright down here. Maybe it's had too bright, but you know what? It's whatever you want it to be, because it's your picture, your edit. Here's one of the Nikita pics. Dave, I like that. It's nice and clean. I really do like the look of this arse actually coming out of the tunnel. I think it looks fantastic. To me, that's a little bit dark. This one here, too bright. I would have changed that a little bit. See, now it's not as anywhere near as bright. And that tends to distract if there's too much brightness in a picture. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have punched in that tight, but look, you can actually see here that little vapor vortex thing, whatever that is. And ProStar Pix logo on the front, very nice. Yeah, I like this version. It's clean. Maybe this is a bit bright. But see, I typically wouldn't spend a lot of time. But how about this one from Hunter? Hunter's really gone overboard here, and maybe, or definitely in Photoshop, because you can't do that in Lightroom. But that looks really nice. If it came out of the camera like that, I'd be pretty darn happy. And I tend to want to get it right in the camera so that there's less work dicking around afterwards. This one's been bumped up too much here. We've lost a lot of detail in here. Once again, too bright for my liking. Oh, most of the colour taken out of this. However, the helmet's green and the lights are yellow. Yeah, interesting look. I don't mind that one at all. So there you have a variety of interpretations of those 2 raw images that you get when you sign up as a member on the YouTube page. Now, a couple of things that I just noted when I was coming up here, because I'm actually recording this at the end of the video. People asked me, how do you get by with luggage on planes? Well, I carry in that black camera bag everything except one camera body and an 85mm lens. That goes into the hold in my luggage, and I carry on my 600mm lens, and that's why I often take business class so that I don't have any dramas with weight restrictions. The last thing I want when boarding is for someone to say, hey, that has to go in the hold. A lot of the team photographers don't have that worry because they can put all of their camera kit into, say, a Pelican case and give it to the team for them to take to the next race. So they don't have to worry about carting their gear backwards and forwards. I don't have that luxury, unfortunately. And in terms of where my pictures appear and what sort of reach they have, at the moment I've got 173,000 followers on Instagram, and in the last 7 days, my images have reached 681,000 accounts. Over the past 28 days, my videos have reached 24 million people, and it was as high as 26 million a couple of days ago. And that's with 109,000 followers. And that number will continue to rise as you continue to watch more of my content, which I'm most grateful for. In places like Baku, where the taxi drivers want to haggle and you don't know if you're getting a good or bad deal, go to the App Store and get the local taxi app. Here in Baku, it's called Bolt, and I can tell you the fare will be about half the price you get quoted if you get into the cab. Let's talk about my workflow on a race day. Let's say I've just taken a picture, and I'll take this one here of a horse, a wooden horse here in the foyer. But let's say I wanted to get that up to my 2 websites and then have access to it so I can post it on Instagram. I would press the set button on my camera. Automatically that picture gets sent to this local hotspot in my pocket. That then sends the picture to my Perth office. It will automatically be posted on kimelman.com and prostarpics.com. So that could take anywhere from 3 minutes to 12 minutes, and it all depends on the speed of the internet. That picture will then come up on my Dropbox on my phone. So I would pick that photo, I would then go and save it to my phone, I would open Lightroom here on my phone, I would do some minor edits to it, and it's very quick, it's in the order of a minute or so. I save it with a watermark, and then I post it on Instagram. And typically I'll use voice to text so I don't have to type everything. And then I've already got my hashtags saved, copy them, paste them in the post, and bang, I post it on Instagram. So typically, if the internet's good, I can have something up within 4 or 5 minutes. If it's ordinary, it might be 12 minutes. Now, assuming I've just come back from a track session, I would take out the card with the raw pictures on it. The JPEGs I just leave in there all weekend, that one card. At the end of the weekend, I load them onto a hard drive just as a backup. I'll probably never ever use them, but in the event that someone says, oh, I think I was in a picture from 2 races ago or 10 races ago, I can go to that JPEG because I will have deleted almost all of the RAWs and kept about 10% of them. Take the raw card, put it into this card reader. Photo Mechanic will ask me, where do I want these pictures to go? So my destination here will be Monaco Day 5 Sunday, because I've already got it in there. The data that I want in will be Formula 1 World Championship, as you can see up here, Day 5 Sunday. The dates are all correct, so I go, fine, thank you very much. Bring it in, and I've changed the file name to start with Monaco. Then I hit ingest. Now, on a race day, that will be some 400 photos coming in there. But for this exercise here, what have I got? 2, 4, 6, 7. So now I go through and have a look. There's a picture of a flower. Yep, we'll take that one. We'll take that one. We won't take that one. We'll take that one. And we'll take that one. And we'll take this one here because that's where I'm working. I then select all my number 1 pictures and I drag them into Lightroom. Now, the program knows not to bring every photo in, only the ones that haven't been brought in. And when I do bring them in here, I will tell Lightroom to build smart previews, and I'll tell it to put in these keywords, Monaco Sunday, which I've already pre-programmed. I'll then hit import. Within a few seconds, I've got these 5 photos. And let's say these are all F1 pictures. I will go through and I'll say, yes, I like this. And I will do a quick processing of it. So maybe I'll bump up that. I could change that. At this stage, I won't go into what I do, but every photo I bring in has one preset. It's called Turbo, and it's available in my current preset pack at kimelman.com. And I can show you the difference between no filter and that turbo filter. Instantly, it pops, and that's what you want, a photo to pop. So I like that one. I'm going to give that a 3 rating. This one here, yeah, I'll keep that as is. This one here, maybe I want to crop it. I'll push up the exposure a little bit, give that a 3 rating. This one here, might crop that, perhaps there. fit it all on screen for you to see. Yeah, we're happy with that. I'm not taking any length of time to do this. Typically, I wouldn't spend any more than about 10 seconds on a picture unless it's a ripper and I want to do a whole lot more with it. So now I've got 5 photos here, did I say? Yes, I'm happy with that. Next up, I need to keyword these pictures so that I can locate them in the future. So I might type in rose here, good, click Command arrow, and I'll put in yellow flower. Now I can export those 5 pictures by selecting them all, hitting export, and then going down to this button here. That automatically puts it up to kimellman.com and prostarpics.com. When I'm doing F1 pictures, most of them are going to be one of 20 different drivers. Now, I don't want to have to be typing in the first few letters of each driver's name. And I've actually got this set up down here, so if I wanted, I could click on Kimi Räikkönen and it automatically puts that information in. But it only allows me to see 9 here. Then I have to go to another set of 9 and then another set of 9. But it's not as quick as using this good thing. Let's say I've just done FP1, I've come back into the media center, I've downloaded maybe 400 photos into Photo Mechanic, I've picked 100 to send to Lightroom. In this case, I've got 5. Now, if this is Lewis Hamilton, I press this button here and bang, Lewis Hamilton goes in over here. See this? Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, Great Britain, number 44. This one here, right, that's Bottas. This one here is Perez. This one here is Tsunoda, and this one here is George Russell. Now, you probably noticed that George Russell did something different. I'll tell you how this all works. So this is a Novation Launch Pad Mini. It is a device that's about €100. Now, I'll explain this as best I can, but my son set this up, so I'm not terribly technically minded. But once it's set up, I know intimately how it works. When I press this button here, Hamilton, that sends a signal to MIDI to Lightroom, and I've already told MIDI to Lightroom that when you get this certain signal, go and do this thing, and that thing is to take in the plugin extras this keyword, which I've already highlighted down here and I won't change. I won't even show you because there's so many. Number 1 is the Hamilton, number 2 is Bottas, 3 is Verstappen, 4 is Perez, and then right through to driver number 16. And they're very quick. When I press that button, instantly, and I can go and press Leclerc and bang, instantly it goes in. Then I forward to the next photo and put in Ocon. Now inside, where there's not obviously all this daylight, this board glows, and each of the driver's buttons is programmed with their team color. But as I said, it only does 1 to 16 on that quick way. The way I do the rest is I need another program. It's called Keyboard Maestro. And Keyboard Maestro allows me to do a certain series of actions when a button is pressed. So if we go to Andrea Ferrari, what I've done here is set up a button here for Andrea Ferrari, who's Charles's trainer. When I press this button here, Andrea Ferrari pops in there, but it does it a different way. It physically has to type in that information. And the instruction, when it gets a signal from MIDI 116, which is this button here, the computer then has to type in G, which means it goes back to its normal grid. It has to wait 0.5 of a second, then it has to do Alt-K, and then it has to type in Andrea Ferrari, has to hit enter, has to hit escape, wait 0.2 of a second, and then hit return. Now I could do all that manually, but when I can send one signal from this device to the computer and it does it automatically, it saves me a lot of time. For instance, if I want to go and export that photo, look, I just press that button. Where do you want it to go? I want it to go there. I could, if I wanted, set it as an Instagram post, men of the paddock, women of the paddock, and that logo goes on it automatically. It allows me to input a driver's keyword, which is vital for searching on it in the future, in 0.2 of a second, whereas previously I'd have to select Max Verstappen and enter that, which is a second and a half. Now, it's not a lot, a second and a half, but you times that by 400 photos a day, that's a lot of wasted time. What happens to all those photos that I take? Well, they go up into 2 sites, kimellman.com, prostarpics.com, and you buy them off ProStarPics. There are a couple of sponsors that I shoot for, and there are also a couple of drivers that I shoot for, and I'll have arrangements with them to provide them with X number of images at a certain rate. And I use my pictures on these YouTube videos, and of course YouTube is a great way to earn an income, because of course YouTube puts the ads in the production. I don't have to worry about that, and I just get a check at the end of every month, and you get to watch the videos absolutely free. Right now, I need one thing from you, given that you've watched this video absolutely free. Could you please like it? Can you subscribe if you haven't done so? And if you'd like access to my raw images, simply go and join up as a member here on YouTube. And for my best pics live from the track and all during the week, head to Instagram @KimEllman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. And if you'd like access to a number of my... Oh, that's what I was going to do. Shit, nearly forgot.